Good evening, Carmen Hendricks speaking.
Good evening, Carmen. It's DJ Gloss here from Sound Fusion Radio London. How are you?
Good, thank you, DJ Gloss. Lovely to finally get to meet you, talk to you.
And finally to talk to you too. It's I've been looking forward to this, absolutely. And here we are, so that's wonderful. How's the weather been today?
Weather's been amazing today. Melbourne's been lovely. We've got a massive race carnival going on here, so it's been really good.
Sounds absolutely wonderful. I shall have to get to come at some stage. I think I'm the only member of our family that's never been to Australia, so I must go and do it. You know, I do have family out there, so I could come over quite easily. It's just finding the time, I think, that's the problem.
You need to definitely come over.
That would be really good. I shall have to schedule that in at some point, Carmen. That's for sure. So, so how are you anyway?
I'm good. As you can imagine, just keeping very busy and trying to make the most of the wonderful opportunity and love that the UK is definitely giving me at the moment.
My first sort of set of questions, really, and it's all about the current album Timing. I'd love to know more about the inspiration behind the album, what it means to you, maybe what some of the individual tracks mean to you. I've listened to it all. It's absolutely beautiful. Absolutely. It's a wonderful album. You know, and I love that you've got sort of a little bit of broken beat in there. You've got a wonderful bit of soul, a bit of R&B. It's all there, you know, and it's a bit of jazz. It's just a fabulous album. Maybe you can talk us through it a little bit.
Well, timing, and especially with you saying the variations of musicality, whether it's broken beat or jazz or R&B, that has been my entire life come together in this one album. And the reason it was called Timing is because, you know, there's an ebb and flow to life, and everything has a time to it, and nothing happens without timing attached to it. So from the lyrical content to the music, I was telling my story, whether it was my growth relationship-wise with myself. A lot of it, the songs are reflective of how I have grown for myself and how I've learned how I've treated myself. Some of it's got to do with personal relationships. Some of it has got to do with, you know, the industry. There's one song in particular, Go. I'm actually talking about the ego that resides in all of us, and I'm nicely asking it to leave, because I'd much prefer consciousness to make its way into life rather than the crazy ego that surrounds us, whether it's in the industry or just life in general. So each track is basically, through music, I'm just telling people about my life and also remembering as a musician what inspired me, you know, when I was 3 and when I was 10 and when I was 15, and it was jazz, R&B, broken beat, everything that, you know, surrounded the ebb and flow of life, the timing of my life. Was put into this, and that's how I came up with the concept of the name and how I wanted to present this as a singer-songwriter musician. So that's pretty much it.
I got that in Go. What you described there, I did get in Go. It's got a wonderful broken beat background to it as well. But you know, you're describing the sort of the asking your ego to take an exit and allowing consciousness through. What, you know, that's a fabulous story, and very, very lovely of you to share that with us. That's wonderful. Thank you so much. That's just so great.
I was just going to say thank you for, you know, asking such beautiful questions, because I've always believed that through the platform of music and the ability or the opportunities I get to either be on radio, whether it's 10 people listening or 10,000 people listening, to be able to share those kind of messages, the real messages. I'm an artist that's actually not afraid to tell people exactly how things came about, rather than give them, I don't know, a story that might seem cool or might seem relevant to, I don't know, create controversy. It's like, you know what, the truth is, and in the hope that it would resonate, and thank you for allowing it to resonate with you, because I kind of felt that, and that meant a lot. So yes, thank you. I just wanted to say that.
Most definitely resonates with us and beyond. We originally got put onto you by Brett Costello, from down in Australia.
Beautiful man.
Yes, he has a show with
man.
us here in London, a weekly show which goes out on a Saturday, the Urban Meltdown. We feature that here on our station, and we're very proud to do so. Brett's one of we've got 2 Australian DJs on the station, and they're from quite different disciplines, but music-wise, genre-wise. But it's lovely the promotion work that they do, and it's fabulous. So, it's great.
Yeah, it truly is. I've never actually had the pleasure of meeting and being around someone that is just. It just seems like the love that he has for music is driving his every willingness to do whatever he can to make this piece of music heard. And for me, as the artist, this man has asked me of nothing other than, can I just push this forward for you? Can I just put it in front of as many people that are willing to listen? And then to have that present today, it's just beautiful. It really is. And I'm so, so, so blessed to have people like that, resonating in my life.
It's wonderful. Yeah, definitely. I mean, Brett brought your music to us. We're obviously going to take your music further, here as part of our breakfast show rotation, which means that some of our other DJs are bound to start playing your tunes. They're bound to start getting involved, because they will overhear these wonderful tunes in timing and just say, where did you get those from? And we'll point them straight at your site to go and download it and get you some sales that way. And then the listeners, of course, will want to get involved as well. Music has to be sustainable. Artists have to make a living. This mistaken idea that people have that music is free is just so wrong.
You're preaching. You are preaching to the choir right now. It's so true. It is so true. And I can't thank you guys from the bottom of my heart for the love and support that you are giving me. Because to be honest, I'm not getting any love in the country that I'm at the moment. It's a little bit painful to know, but such a blessing to know that you guys are doing exactly that, and to remind people that it isn't a free thing and it isn't something you can just take, because I will dedicate my life to music and continuously making music, because I believe that was the gift that was bestowed upon me, and I think we all have a special gift, and if we just put those gifts out there, but it's also nice when people appreciate in the means of being grateful and thankful. And yes, it does come down to, giving an artist payment where payment is due, so that I can continue to do what I do.
I mean, we all have our Dharma. I don't know if that's a term that you're familiar with, but we all have that. And
absolutely,
if yours is the music side of things, like mine is from a DJ's angle, so to speak, and a radio presenter's angle. But we do what we love, and
exactly.
And making a living at it is something that we hope to do. If you see what I mean, and that's all good stuff, And so we very much support that. Can I ask you about a specific track on the album? Is that okay?
Absolutely.
Through My Eyes.
Yep.
Can you tell us a story behind that?
So I have a belief that what you hold in your mind, the thoughts that you think, then become your reality.
Well,
everything I see, whether it's in my mind, as long as I keep it really clear and positive, that will become, I will manifest that. That will become my reality. And because I'm also very aware of, how do you get messages like this across? And only the conscious will kind of immediately go, I get that. I get that undertone, that message there. But I also believe that my songwriting, that's something that from a spiritual point of view, that's how I've been asked to shine the light. To be a light in and amongst a world that, there has to be duality. There's darkness and light, and once the light's there, the darkness disappears. And so Through My Eyes is just another way of me saying, make sure that whatever you think is nothing but the greatest thoughts, the greatest versions of yourselves. See the greatest picture in your head. Don't see the glass as half empty. See it as, half full. And all of a sudden your playground becomes delicious, because you see it that way. And once again, thank you for asking beautiful questions, because I'm not afraid to be able to express exactly what it is I am writing about in that sense.
It comes through the album, your consciousness and self-awareness comes through. You know, your discussion there of through my eyes and manifesting in the field of infinite possibilities. Just, I know exactly what you mean. It resonates beautifully with me. So, you know, it's lovely to have this conversation.
Likewise, thank you.
No, that's great. That's absolutely lovely. And I could probably go through each of those tracks in the album and ask you about all of them, and they would all have some kind of deep meaning that would work beautifully, you know, and that I would understand beautifully. And but is there one in particular? You did mention Go before, but is there one or two in particular that you think are ones you'd really like to talk about?
I think How Many Times. I think a lot of people assume that I've written that about a love relationship.
Yes.
But I've actually written that about the most important relationship that I will ever have for the rest of my life, which is the constant, which is me.
Yeah.
And how I've continuously just never seen that on my deathbed, the only person that is guaranteed to be there is me.
Absolutely.
So that is the most important relationship that we ever get to have. And yet not many of us ever realize that, and we're always making it about someone else fulfilling us, someone else making us happy, someone else doing something wrong to us, rather than really just focusing on that beautiful relationship that we can start nurturing with ourselves. And I also believe life is a mirror, and if you have a great relationship with yourself, then that is mirrored in all the other relationships that enter your space.
Couldn't agree more.
And that was just I wrote that actually for myself, to remind myself, because being human, often forget, you know, and I have to really just go, oh, I've done it again. You know, I've forgotten that, you know, all of life is a mirror, and it has to start with me. So that was definitely often one that I wonder whether people I remember my dad saying, oh, who was this about? And I'm like, that was about me, Dad. You know, because he was like, no, which one was this about now? I'm like, no, that was 100% me, Dad. So yeah, that's often one that I sometimes feel the need that I'd want to clarify, because I also feel the most important message that I can get across, and that I hope to get across. And that is, for me, a constant, I'm on a constant journey with myself.
Yes.
You know?
As we all are.
I don't think
indeed.
Yeah.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
Is there another one you want to tell us a little bit more about?
So Heartbreak, again, is very interesting, and that obviously is about
I was going to ask you about that, so I'm glad you picked that one.
It was definitely about a very long relationship. My very first relationship was 16 years, which some people can't believe that, because marriages don't even seem to last that long these days. And they're like, you had a 16-year relationship and you're not that old. So that one was definitely about, you know, what can happen in the dynamics of a relationship, and how, you know, your heart just there's no pain like that pain of when your heart's breaking. And also how important it is, because I think relationships is the biggest teacher that we can have. We grow and learn through that time, and as much as it's painful, the second half of the song indicates me, you know, taking my breath and just going, wow, I'm learning about me through this pain and seeing an amazing light. And so I think it was another way for me to say, you know, you can hold on to being angry and bitter about what happens in a relationship, and that, you know, you can play the victim card, but that's where you're going to learn the most amazing lessons, and just be open to it and just accept everything that is happening, and allow the lessons to present itself to you, rather than just, some people just hold on to the bitterness and the anger. And, that for me, writing that song, I know that I had to tap into so many of my emotions, only to find out that, it's like a rainbow. There was bitter ones, sweet ones, bright ones, dull ones, dark ones. But, I really had fun with it musically as well.
But no matter,
and I think
I was going to say,
that sums up relationships too. It's so many colours and shades.
Absolutely right. Absolutely right.
Yeah.
And like, all of those different emotions and feelings at the end of a relationship, that you were saying there, you just have to flow like the river with them, and offer no resistance, and then things, come good.
I think the other thing that I see often is when people get hurt that many times in relationships, they start shutting down and closing off and just saying, I'm not having a bar of it. I'm never, meeting anyone again. And it was my way of saying, to see a rainbow, you often have to go through the rain, and relationships is a little bit like that, Don't cut yourself off an amazing experience, and also don't be so attached to the outcome. Not everything is there forever. Reason, season, lifetime, and most importantly, there's always some gifts. So it was my way of also maybe just communicating that, it all hurts, and we all go through that pain consistently. But the gift that can come out of it is just as beautiful.
Absolutely. There's value in everything, and change is the only thing that is actually guaranteed.
Exactly. Even though us as humans just hate that, because we do tend to want to have things the same out of pure security and what feels right, and don't rock the boat. It's like, but if you don't change, if there's no change, there's no growth, and that's the reason we're here, is to grow and evolve. And pain brings the most growth and involvement ever.
How you perceive that, I guess, sits roughly where you sit between human and being, if you know exactly what I mean by that.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. So, very much depending on where you're sitting in that, shall I say, scale, the pain and the inability to let it go at one end of the scale, and the lessons and the ability to let it go at the other end of the scale. So, but that's lovely. Thank you so much for sharing that. That's fabulous.
Oh, thank you for asking.
I wanted to ask you a little bit more about Back in Time, Carmen, if that's okay.
Absolutely.
I was really interested in how you found music, or perhaps how music found you might be more of a way of describing it. But I was really interested in the sort of beginnings of it for you as a young sort of child. How did you come to music?
Okay, so there's definitely two definitive reasons. One, I had the most amazing set of parents who, loved music. And so music was always in our house, and they had sessions, just listening to LPs, and there wasn't a day that music wasn't played. The other thing that really drew me to music was growing up in South Africa in the heart of apartheid. There was only three things that as a coloured girl was guaranteed to us, and that was food, music, and basically, family.
Yes, yeah.
So those were the things that no one could take away from us because of the colour of our skin.
Yes.
And those are the things that made us the most happiest. Let's gather together, let's all cook, and let's have a party, let's dance, let's just be enveloped by music, because the outside world is pretty, excuse my French, it's pretty shitty. We can't venture further than this street, and we can't do this and we can't do that. So that's what we spent our time. And I, spent 13 years in Cape Town, South Africa, and I very much, felt everything about apartheid. I grew up right in the thick of it, wasn't allowed to go to certain toilets and go to certain schools and get on certain buses and trains and blah, blah, blah. So Music was just beautiful, beautiful outlet for all of us as a community, as a people. And, you know, I can look at it and say, what a horrible way to live, but I can also look at it and go, thank you, you know, because
exactly.
I wasn't out there, you know, being silly and occupying myself by just being a naughty little teenager. I was just at home listening to Roberta Flack and Randy Crawford and Stevie Wonder and Earth, Wind and Fire and just going, oh, this is amazing. I want to do this. I want to know how they did that. I want to make music. And to me, music always resonated with happiness and togetherness. And I was like, well, that's what I want. I want to be the reason why people gather and they're happy. And they're forgetting about their problems. They're forgetting about maybe what's reality for a minute. And they're absolutely just focused on this piece of music. And I'm like, that's powerful.
Yeah.
And like I said, my parents was definitely the start of that. And then once I got a little bit older and realized what was going on around me, I'm like, you know, this is what we do. and I'm not complaining.
Well, it's
not complaining.
That's a fabulous story, and I kind of, I didn't expect that story, if you know what I mean, and I shouldn't expect any story, to be honest. But you know, I didn't expect that one. But that's beautiful. That's lovely. And so, do you remember your kind of first ever live performance? Do you remember what that was?
Yes, I was 5, and they
all of
asked
5.
Me, yeah, I started singing at 5, and it was a teacher at my primary school was getting married, and I made it very clear because I had so much confidence as a child, and it's almost like, you know, my soul said, right, we're not wasting any time. We're letting everyone know that what we want to do is sing.
Let's get on with it.
And I literally just said, right, I'm a singer. This is what I can do. And they said to me, would you sing, you know, teacher, Adonis down the aisle? I'm like, sure. So Mum dressed me in my primary school get up, and I went and did my first gig singing her down the aisle. And then from there on, I was booked to do various Stedfords, and I kept singing Brides Down the Aisle, and I just didn't stop from there. And everyone just thought, oh, that's really cute. And meantime, I'm like, cute? No, this is what I'm going to do for the rest of my life. This is not cute. This is real. But I guess Mum and Dad only realized after a long while, because I remember my dad saying, so when are you going to give up this singing nonsense? When are you going to... I was like, didn't you get the email? This is it for me.
Oh, that's brilliant. Yeah. And when you're going to get a sensible job, I know, I've been there myself.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought, I'm not going to let you down easily. I'm just going to let you know this is it.
What's sort of coming next, Carmen? Where do you see it going next, really, for you? Are you coming to see us in the UK? Are you going to come and sing here?
We are. Myself and my manager are working tirelessly to make that happen. I'm
there.
Because that would just
be
wonderful, absolutely wonderful to come and show my appreciation to a country that has just always been lovely. Even my first album, you guys just gave it so much love, and you continue to give me love, and it would mean so much for me to come over and share it intimately.
Oh.
You know, with as many people that wants to hear it. So yes, that's definitely on the cards.
Wow.
Ridiculously on the cards.
Wow, that's wonderful. Just for the benefit of our listeners, then, if you could point them at your social media, ways to contact you,
sure.
Any website you might have that they can get to, how to get physical copies of your CD.
I think I might, with the physical copies, kind of just maybe stay in touch with you, or speak to my I'll speak to my manager tonight, and just find a way of maybe even if I send X amount to you guys, just as a way of me saying thank you anyway. And if you want to, you know, definitely give one to Mark and give some giveaways for the love that I'm getting over there. That would be an absolute pleasure. So I can make that happen, and then maybe just talk a little bit more on what we can do to make it available over there. My Instagram is Carmen Hendricks Music. Facebook is Carmen Hendricks, and Twitter is Carmen Hendricks.
And I guess the last thing is, if there's anything you'd like to say to your listeners, we're worldwide, we're listened to in 52 countries, but obviously based here in the UK. If there's anything you'd like to say to all of your listeners worldwide, then please feel free. Take as long as you like.
Absolutely. I would like to thank each and every listener for giving my album the time and love. And if it's not for you, we don't do what we do. So thank you for keeping music alive. And I will forever be appreciative. And I will always do my best to give you quality in both lyrical content and musicality as long as I am on this earth.
Well, you certainly do that, Carmen. That's certainly what you give. This album that I have here in front of me is, it's a beautiful album. Every single tune is an absolute gem. It's a must for everybody's collection, and I'll make sure I tell them so. So,
thank you. You're beautiful.
And you are too. It's been a real pleasure to talk to you. I've enjoyed the conversation, and it has been a beautiful conversation all the way through.
Likewise.
And
likewise. Thank you.
Have an absolutely blessed and beautiful rest of your evening. And
I shall. You too. And we shall keep in contact.
Yeah, don't leave it too long before we speak again. Well, thank you for bringing a great amount of light into the middle of my day. It's been beautiful. Take care, and we'll speak soon.
You too. We'll
Thank
see
you
soon. Okay.
You take
Bye.
care. Bye. Bye.